Another hectic week done, and let's talk about this play-in tournament because the playoffs are going to start, I think, in another week and a half or so. And I'm extremely excited for it. I'm pretty sure most of the fans are excited for it because they play 82 games of regular season just to see a good playoffs. And really want to see a good playoffs this time, like we had last time. So overall, let's just talk about this new play-in tournament that the NBA has introduced. So I will just explain how the play-in tournament works if none of you know. So the 7th seed and the 8th seed have to play it out. So there are like 4 seeds that'll have the 7th seed, 8th seed, the 9th seed, and the 10th seed. So the 7th seed plays the 8th seed, and the 8th seed plays the 9th seed. And so let's say 7 beats 8. So 7 makes the playoffs directly. Now the 8th seed has another chance to make the playoffs. So the 8th seed will have to face the winner of the 9th and 10th seed. So let's say the 9th seed wins, and the 9th seed will face the 8th seed, and whoever wins that matchup will make it to the playoffs. Yeah, it's there's been a lot of controversy on this. LeBron James just said this playoff tournament, whoever came up with this should get fired, and I think Draymond Green said it a while back. Despite him being I think the Warriors were the 10th seed at the time. Now they're the 8th seed, but despite the Warriors having an advantage to make the playoffs while being the play-in, he just said this play-in tournament doesn't really give them an incentive to like really be competitive. That's essentially what the NBA is going for. Like try to stop tanking. Like every team every year about 16 teams make the playoffs, and there are 14 teams that don't. So what do those 14 teams do? They try to go for the lottery. They try to go for a higher pick, and to go for a higher pick you need to lose games. To lose games you kind of tend to tank, and which is what the NBA doesn't want. So in that sense it is good. So a lot of players, I think even Luka Doncic and Rick Carlisle from the Mavs have also said this play-in tournament is very unnecessary. Although they have gone up in the standings right now, but at the time they were the 7th seed, so they were in risk of playing the play-in tournament. So if you're a playoff team, you would do anything to avoid this play-in tournament at all costs. So I'll be talking about why it's good or why it's bad. So I'll just give my opinion on it basically, and you can give yours in the comment section if I get any comments. That is. Anyway, so let's look at the Western Conference right now, and the 5th, 6th, and 7th seed I think are the Mavs, Lakers, and Blazers respectively. So and they all pretty much have the same record. I think the Mavs are 1 game ahead since I last checked like 20 minutes ago. Nothing would have changed then. Anyway, the Mavs are just 1 game ahead, and like let's just say the season ends like this, and right now the Blazers are the 7th seed, and they pretty much have the same record as the Lakers. So is that really fair to the Blazers that the Lakers get to escape and the Blazers don't by pretty much having the same record? And meanwhile, the team below the Warriors have like I think they're like at least 3 or 4 games below the Blazers. So yeah, that might seem a bit unfair to the Blazers, but either way, they do have an advantage, so they might as well leverage their advantage in the playing game. So I would pick the Blazers in the matchup against the Warriors because Warriors are just Steph, and Blazers are a little more than just Dame and CJ. So either way, let's and coming to the Eastern Conference, so the Hornets have been holding that 8th spot all year, and from what it looks like, I think the Pacers are 1 game behind them, and let's say the Hornets end up getting that 8th spot, and they can't secure it, the spot they've been having all year. So let's just say they lose in the first because they don't have Gordon Hayward as well right now. Let's just say they lose in the first round to the, that first round play-in matchup to the Heat. Which I'm going to pick the Heat against the Heat or Celtics, whichever team falls to the 7th seed. I'm going to pick either of those teams against the Hornets. And keep in mind, this is not a series. This is just 1 game. This is just anything can happen in 1 game. So anyway, I'm going to pick the Heat because they're just better. And when the Hornets play the Pacers or the Wizards have been striking out lately. So I'm going to pick the Hornets. The Wizards to play the Hornets, and I'm going to pick the Wizards in that matchup, to be honest, because the Wizards have been so trash to begin the season, but they've been so good like this last 1.5 months, and so they have momentum on their side, and they can just sweep the Hornets away. Even though the Hornets might have a better record, they can just lose it like that instantly. So that's what the disadvantage is. That it's not unfair. It's not fair to a lot of teams that have been putting the work. But I'm going to ask you this. So whether it be the Blazers or the Hornets, they have made the 8th seed cool. But are they really going to win that first round matchup? Like the Blazers are probably going to face the Suns. Like okay, yeah, the Blazers do have a chance because the Blazers are actually a good team. But okay, let's say the Warriors. The Warriors facing the Jazz. They're going to get trumped. Like maybe they might win one game because Steph is amazing, but other than that, they're just gonna get destroyed. And let's look at the East. If the Hornets are gonna play the Sixers, yeah, they're gonna get destroyed. Or even they play the Nets, whoever they play in the top, they're just gonna get destroyed. So in the grand scheme of things, doesn't really matter because I think 95% of first round matchups are won. I mean, the 1 versus 8 first round matchups are won by the first seed. So, does this really matter? Well, let's see where it does. So, let's take the Washington Wizards, right? The Washington Wizards were trashed to start the season, even though people had high expectations. Actually, their expectations were to make the 8th seed, which they will kind of make. And so, yeah, they were really bad in the first month and a half. I think they were like the third worst in the East, and yeah, mainly because Russell Westbrook was dealing with injuries. A lot of their players got out due to health and safety protocols, so they had missed a lot of players, and yeah, Westbrook was playing through an injury, which he tends to do. But he wasn't able to. He wasn't really able to help this team to any wins, and it was just pretty much the Bradley. We were going with the free Bradley Beal, and now we have come to the Wizards, are a really good team. So, congrats to the Wizards on that. So, but then let's just think about, would the Wizards really have a chance? Would they really have the motivation to do so well? Like their season was pretty much lost, but would they have this really? Now they actually have a chance to make the 8th seed. And let's think about it. The Wizards have a chance to face the Nets in the first round, and I would watch every single game in that matchup. Like Westbrook versus KD, like anything can happen in that. Well, James Harden may or may not be there, so they could be a potential upset. And then, look, there's no way the Hornets are going to beat them. The Wizards do have a chance. So there, it does give a chance. So many injuries happen. So how this play-in tournament started is, so last year when the bubble happened, so there was just one play. So there was a condition: if the 8th seed has like I think 3 games ahead of the 9th seed or more, they have to play a play-in tournament to sort it out. It was 2 games between the 8th and 9th seed. If the 8th seed wins the first game, they directly qualify. But if the 8th seed loses, they'll have to play another game with that same 9th seed. And basically, the 9th seed has to win 2 games, and the 8th seed has to win one to qualify to the next round. So essentially, that's what it is. So anyway, last year happened between the Blazers and the Grizzlies, and the Blazers just made quick work of the Grizzlies because Damian Lillard was the bubble MVP until the playoffs started. That is, yeah. Because after that, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, yeah, you know. So, so that happened because the bubble like the last game before the bubble started happened in March, and you're just playing. It's like a new season when you're playing 8 games and just starting off with the playoffs. So that's why you kind of needed that whole. That's why you kind of need that whole rejuvenation. And that's why maybe some teams can just drop a few games and might just lose their 8th seed spot. So that's why it made sense. Actually, LeBron at the time did support this, and now he's completely against it. But yeah, last year kind of made sense, but I'm saying it does make sense this year as well, because this year has also been a very weird year. Like the Lakers are not supposed to be the 6th seed. The only reason they're the 6th seed is because LeBron and AD missed like pretty much half the year. Like AD missed like 30 games, LeBron has missed on 20. So that's the reason the Lakers are in this position, because when they started off the season, they were actually the 2nd seed, because the Jazz were, although Anthony Davis did start missing games at that point, but after LeBron went out, it was all out. Yeah, they just started crumbling down. So the Lakers shouldn't be the 6th seed, but then, like let's just say hypothetically, like LeBron and AD just don't come back, but then they come back like towards, actually not hypothetically, that's pretty much exactly what happened. So let's say the Lakers were just terrible without LeBron and AD, because they weren't, but they were like decent. But let's just say they fall all the way to like the 9th seed. Now all of a sudden they're out of the playoffs. But then because it's playing tournament, they actually have a chance to come regroup all healthy and then make it back. Now obviously they do have a big disadvantage while coming to the 8th seed, but still this does make the league a little more competitive. This does give chance to teams that got injured to make it back. And as a fan, I love an idea of a play-in tournament, because it just gives this extra drama to the regular season. Like teams like this usually don't care about this point. Like look at the Thunder right now. They just they just want Kate Cunningham at this point. They're just like trying to lose games as much as possible. They lost by like 57 or something like that the other day. And this used to be like about 10 to 12 leagues, and that 10 to 12 teams at this point. But now that number has changed because they want the chance to make the playoffs, and that's why I think this play-in tournament is good. it gives more excitement for the fans perspective. I mean, obviously it sucks for a few teams that they have to, like, they worked so hard all season, they might just lose it. But anyway, I can't wait to see this play in tournament. Thank you all for watching, and yeah.